Hi guys, and welcome to Tailored Talk. Okay guys, so I've been watching OhStephco for a while, and her content is changing in 2023, and I just want to see how. This was done a few months ago, but I thought, well, I just saw a bit of it recently, and I thought, why not cover it? So here we go.
Hello and welcome to my channel. Welcome to my first actual original video of 2023. I cannot believe how fast January is like whipping by. It seems like it should be illegal, but all of last year, well, there were some months that like dragged, but all of last year for the most part went kind of fast. So I feel like 2023 is gonna go even faster. I wanna start off by saying thank you so much to anybody who watched my Vault series. I did that for two reasons. The first is I'm just thinking about the kind of content I want to put out, and I was really thinking about it going into the new year. I think because my channel has always sort of oscillated in between commentary and personal, I was like, do I want to start off with a commentary video, since I ended the year with a story time? But what do I comment on? I know that Prince Harry's book was coming out. Kanye got married again. There were things to talk about, but I think at the very beginning of the year, none of that stuff had happened yet. So I was still kind of thinking, what do I do? And also my house was like still covered in Christmas decorations, and I was still, getting my bearings after the holidays. It's just, I needed something that was gonna be easy to post on my main channel. So I said, why don't I take these videos that I'm actually really proud of? Like, this is content about my life and events that I've lived that I think it's
Coaches and agencies, if you need sales calls, our appointment setters will perform or you pay nothing. So let me cut to the chase. Here's the offer. We'll come.
It's important for anybody who encounters me, whether in real life or on the internet, and wants to know me, it's important for them to know about these events in a way. I think one of the things that I've run into a lot since starting to make content online is the constant assumptions. I know when I first started off talking about dating, a lot of times I got the response of, well, you're only having trouble because I can just tell, you've never dated interracially. Well, now you all know that that is not my truth, that I have indeed done that. I know a lot of times people will be like, have you ever traveled? What about going overseas? And I know I haven't been everywhere, but I have done some traveling in kind of an extensive way, I think. I know I've seen a lot more of the world and in a lot longer increments than a lot of people I know. I know that compared to me, a lot of people have done more. But I think when I was younger, I did get out, I did see the world, I did have experiences. And then I think one of the funniest things that was said about me in the beginning of my journey was that I was a femcel, which, stands for like a female involuntary celibate, which I do have a funny story about that, but I'm not going to tell it now.
This intro is a while, and I do wonder if she uses a lot of stuff as filler content, when really this is a 33-minute video. And really, could it be 15 minutes, Steph? Could it be 15 minutes?
Now,
this is an intro that has no bearing on the actual title. This is an intro that has nothing to do with your title.
People were.
I do like Steph. Disclaimer: I do like Steph. I do watch a lot of her content. I do think she's great. But I'm gonna be honest with this video.
Just talking about the fact that I was saying that I have negative experiences when it comes to dating, and especially like some of my first videos. Oh, she's just a miserable femcel who can't get any, right? Well, I think I have also talked about that in detail. I am no prude. I am no femcel. If I want it, I can go get it. But that's not what I always want, and so that's kind of my issue. But let's move on from that. So anyway,
what had any of that concerning assumptions and dismissing that she's a femcel? What has any of that got to do with the actual video? It's filler. It's filler.
I thought it was important that I share those things, especially when it comes down to like that home invasion story, because I think for me, first of all, when I went back and watched it, I was like, girl, what? Like, it's just been so many years. And I recorded that kind of on a
I have not seen that, but I'll go and check it out.
whim for my patrons, because I was like, oh, I have a scary story for Halloween, so I'll share this. But when I went back and watched it and like all those feelings came back, it's just sometimes as a person you need to be reminded of the things you have you've what is the word, the things you have triumphed over, the experiences that you have that nobody would disagree have been traumatic. Because I think some of the stuff that I share, or that I shared at least in the past, I know when I first started on YouTube, people would say things like, well, that's not traumatic, you know, nobody talks to you at a bar, who cares? But they only knew kind of the surface of what I've experienced in my life. And I think when I go and I look at those stories, I'm like, lady, you are a warrior. Like, you, okay, you know, it makes me proud of myself to know the things that I've walked away from, the things that I've lived through. And I wanted to share those experiences with you all. The next reason why I decided to post those stories here is because story times are super profitable for me, or have been in the past. A story time on this channel used to make me, and I say used to as recently as like December of 2022, anywhere from $500 to over $1,000, with some of my story times making me around $3,000.
If someone knows, let me know in the comments if YouTube is now OhStephco's primary source of income, or does she have like side hustles? Because I know that she used to be a teacher, but did she quit that for YouTube, or is this like a hobby for her? She's clearly making a lot of money, but is it a side hustle among many, or is she a full-time YouTuber?
$1,000. And if you think about the work to like income ratio of that, I sit down, I record a story for maybe about an hour. I take and I edit and I work on it maybe about 3 hours. I upload it. That's 4 hours of work, and you make $1,000 for 4 hours. That's incredible. That's really, really good money. It's definitely better money than I've ever made. And I think, like I said, since I've done commentary and like story time and personal content on here, usually my personal content does better than my commentary content. But my commentary content is always consistent. You know, sometimes I do a story time and it gets 150,000 views. And sometimes I do one and it gets 40,000 views. Always that's good money either way to me. But my commentary always gets around 30,000, which that number sticks in my head because when I first started making content on YouTube, I was told by an influencer management company that, you know, in order to ask for certain amounts of money, you have to have at least 20,000 subscribers and your videos have to do at least 30,000 on average. So anytime I make a video and it hits that, I'm like, yes, I did it. I crossed the threshold. Even though, you know, I don't have any brand deals in the works right now, but that is something that I'm like, okay, good. I know that I consistently offer that on my channel. So those are the two reasons why I decided to share the stories. Number one, I think that they're a great testament to the person that I am today. And number two, they usually make me.
So how is your content changing? We're 6 minutes in.
Really good money. However, emphasis on the word usually. I think I noticed in December that I was kind of losing my mojo when it came to posting videos on this channel, meaning that I used to be able to post pretty much anything and it hit about 30,000 views within the first 36 hours of it being posted.
Awesome. And I do think it's well deserved. I've kind of been watching her recently, kind of new to kind of OhStephco, shall we say, and it is well deserved. She's a fantastic storyteller.
I took that as a sign that, hey, I've got an audience who wants to hear from me, and you know, it kind of doesn't matter what angle I'm coming from unless it's me talking about certain things that happen in pop culture. But for the most part, people will listen and they want to hear it, and it's usually about a good percentage of my audience that's like, hey, I'll listen to this. And then of course, if enough of your audience listens, what then happens is the algorithm picks up the video and starts pushing it out to new people. So, you know, I had that going for me for a long time. And then I got to December around the holidays and I noticed it was harder and harder to hit those levels of viewership that I was used to. And I just chalk that up to it being the holidays. Maybe people aren't interested in what I'm interested in. Maybe people don't agree with my opinions about things. I know my opinion about Harry and Meghan, specifically about how the documentary was not a bad documentary. I know that that video in and of itself was about 47 minutes long, but within within like 6 or 10 minutes of me posting it on my channel, people were already writing in the comment section, this was ignorant. You need to do your research. There was no way they had read or had watched that video.
Well, they are going to be biased because Harry and Meghan are kind of generally disliked. As much as Meghan wants to believe, as much as she wants to be the new Diana, she's not popular. And her and Harry are not popular. That's why you got the backlash, I'm afraid. So even if you did make sense, people hate them, dislike them so much that they will just bitch on any Harry and Meghan video for the sake of bitching.
But they're so against that couple. And hey, I get it. We've all been oversaturated at this point. I've been reading Harry's novel and they're talking about him getting another one. And I'm like, Lord, all right. I don't know that we need another one, but I get that. But
wow, how much can Harry add? You know, Harry's life as a royal kid and a spare. Why would there be a sequel for that? Jesus.
People didn't watch it.
Maybe I do need to read his book.
You know, because they don't have the same opinion as I do, which was that it wasn't bad and they're not a bad couple and Meghan's not a narcissist. You know, I had opinions that didn't go with the grain of what the internet as a whole wanted to hear. So I understood why that video was low. There were other things I talked about that, you know, people really didn't care about that much. So I understood why the viewership was low, but I did pay attention because I do feel like once upon a time I could put a video on this channel and even if it wasn't what everybody was wanting to hear or interested in, people would still click and watch it. So in December, I was like, okay, you might be losing some of your mojo. People might be hitting the diminishing law of returns when it comes to you. And the diminishing law of returns is an economic term for just, you know,
So the law of diminishing returns. The law of diminishing returns is an economic principle stating that as investment in a particular area increases, the rate of profit from that investment after a certain point cannot continue to increase if other variables remain at a constant. Go on.
I'm going to put the real definition up here on the screen, but basically what it means is that over time, people hit you hit your threshold of use with something. Your needs begin to evolve.
Agreed.
Your desires begin to evolve. And you need that thing to change, become better, or reconstitute itself before you will access it in the way that you once used to. So for example, think about a song that you love. Think about an album that you love. I know when Renaissance came out, I played it all day, every day. My number one listened to...
Warning, content triggers salivation and savings. Get 1 large pizza, 2 sides and a drink for $19.99. What the hut?
Remember the 90s? Your computer could suddenly correct spelling mistakes. That was life-changing.
Person
So that's why this video is so long. It's filled with ads.
on my Spotify Wrapped was Beyonce. So I listened to Renaissance every day, all of July, all of August. I listened to it a lot. And then one day, I didn't listen to it anymore. It faded away. Like I would go back to it, but not.
If anybody knows, let me know if YouTube is OhStephco's primary job, because then this video will make a lot of sense.
In the way that I used to. And that's because I hit the diminishing law of returns. Whatever I was getting from that, whatever feeling I was getting from it, I got enough of it to where in order to access it, I either needed to take a break from it or it was going to have to change in some way. So for example, if Beyonce had come out with remixes of her songs, which were kind of already remixes, if she had ever given us visuals, you know, she'd ever given us visuals, any of that stuff would have changed my relationship to the content and made me want to access it more. Now, everybody hits that point differently. So where...
Yeah, but you've talked about assumptions and Beyonce. It is 10 minutes in. Why is your content changing this year?
As I stopped really listening to it and playing it every day around like September, somebody else might have just kept bumping it all year long. They never hit that point with it. Someone else might have stopped listening to it maybe 2 or 3 days after it came out. Oh, okay, I get this, right? So we all hit it at a different point. And what I was realizing back in December was that there were certain people who had subscribed to my channel, who were watching my channel, and who had hit that point with me. Like, okay, I get it, or I'm not really interested in this, or, whatever. And there were some people who hadn't hit that point. But the number of people who had versus people who hadn't, you had more people that were choosing not to access the content than people that were choosing to access the content, if that makes sense. And this was really clear with my Storytime Vault videos. I love, 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 love the feedback. I think anybody who puts anything out in the world, if you get the feedback that I got on those Storytime Vault videos, that's enough to make you think like you can do anything. I mean, that is enough to make you think you poop gold bricks. The reaction and the response that I got from people watching those videos was amazing, and I loved how everybody engaged with the content.
It's understandable that you would want to go back to those glory days
and engaged with what I was doing within that little series. It made me feel great as a creator. But financially, because the amount of people that decided to engage and decided to watch wasn't at the levels that it used to be, it really, really sent me a message about my future as a creator on this platform.
Here we go. So is this the part where her content is changing?
On this platform. And just to break it down for you, in case you don't know, YouTube pays, or sometimes pays. It can be more. I've experienced more. It can be less. I've experienced less. But YouTube pays about $10 per every 1,000 views. And that is information that I found online before I even started making YouTube videos. And that's what I've seen since I've started. Again, it can be more and it can be less. For the majority of the Vault series that I released, because story times are not necessarily, unless a lot of people watch, it's not necessarily something that advertisers are going to get a lot out of. So you're not always going to make a high, cost per 1,000 views. But because people weren't engaging with it and, at the levels that they once had, I made the lowest amount that I've ever made on a Storytime video since I started sharing them on YouTube. In fact, the second one that I did, the home invasion video, which honestly, if anybody ever asked me, hey, what's the best work you ever did online? It's not going to be Pretty Privilege for me. It's not going to be. It is going to be that video. Just if I ever.
Why do I feel like she's lying? Pretty Privilege is the best because financially it was the best for her. Okay. All right.
Like, if this was the old days where people could literally get acting careers from their YouTube channels, I would submit that video.
And I know that, of course, it may be personal preference, but this video is going to be very monetary driven. So I do think her favorite, based on monetary gain, would be Pretty Privilege. But maybe she's telling the truth.
In fact, I have thought about, like, if I ever want to go to an agency and, like, do commercials or anything like that, and they're like, hey, we want to hear you talk, tell a story, the home invasion video is the video that's getting submitted. I'll probably cut out the first part about the guy that I was trying to date at that time, but I just wanted to tell his story because I thought it was important. But just that part of me talking about, like, what happened with the robbery, that's what I'm submitting. That was, I went back and watched it, and I was like, and I think that's great when you can say that about something that you've done, right? But that video made me about $59. To this day, since I released it originally, it has made me $75, I think. And if you compare that to the story time that I did in December, that video made me about $500. And if you compare that to the story time that I did in November, that video made me $1,500. I don't know why that video made me so much money, but it did. And so when I looked at how the other content that I was putting out was performing, I was like, okay, the platform is sending me a message. I've been feeling a type of way about sharing this content for a while. And I feel like the Storytime Vault was a great opportunity to kind of come to the end of something and start something new. So that being said, the title of this video is of course called My Content is Changing. And one of the ways.
Yeah, finally, we are 15 minutes in and now she's talking about why her content is changing and what it's going to change to. Yes, this could have been a 15-minute video.
That my content is going to change on this platform is
here we go. 14 minutes 47 seconds in. Here we go.
Not going to share personal content anymore. I think, like I've said,
I think that the choice not to share personal content is an extremely misguided mistake.
Since I started talking here today, my videos have always oscillated in between personal and commentary.
Yeah.
And I think commentary channels that are really successful, commentary essay channels that are successful, are commentary and essay channels that keep the personal out of them. They just talk about the issue at hand. They talk about the movie at hand. They talk about the pop culture topic at hand. They talk about the...
But isn't that going to be incredibly difficult for you to do? Because you have built your fan base on story times and they're fantastic story times.
Actress, the whatever they're talking about and their personal life is, they keep it out of it. And I think that's simply because sometimes your personal story can crowd what you want to talk about. It can change how people look at you. It can change what you're trying to say. I mean, it can get in the way. And so I'm going to hold off on sharing personal content on this channel. Notice I said this channel. Of course,
Right, so she's got another channel for personal content. I don't think this is a good idea.
I'll still be the same on Patreon, and I will still be the same elsewhere, but I'll talk about that. From now on, this channel will just be commentary. Just be commentary, video essays. And you guys know me by now. I literally can't do commentary without talking about myself a little bit and sprinkling in a personal anecdote here and there. It's just how I am. I literally have a story for almost every situation. So I probably will still in some way
I wonder how successful this new commentary channel change will be. Her story times are fantastic. I wonder why she's putting story times on another channel.
Tell stories on this channel.
Maybe she's been advised.
But it won't be me sitting down and recording a whole story time and putting it out. Simply because, like I say in the intro of the Storytime Vault, this year I want to work smarter and not harder. Which means if I'm gonna make something, I wanna make sure it's something that's gonna make me money. And YouTube has a great resource for creators, and that is the research page. The research,
you know, and that's understandable. But yeah, it's understandable. Every content creator wants some type of monetary gain or some kind of visible glory for your efforts. That's understandable.
Search page lets creators know
credit cards filled in for you. There's no place like Chrome.
what the majority of their users are watching or their subscribers are watching, what channels their subscribers are watching, and what are the videos their subscribers have been watching recently. And so for me, I'm like, okay, so if I make a video, I want to be sure that it's something that the people that are subscribed to this channel will actually want to watch and be interested.
But it also has to be something that you're passionate about, because if it's just for monetary gain, OhStephco, you'll be just churning out videos, not because you're passionate about them, but because you hope it will make you the most money. And monetary gain and passionate videos don't always go hand in hand.
Interested in. It doesn't mean that that's all I want to talk about, but part of working smarter and not harder is making sure that if you make something, if you spend your time on something, you're not just releasing it and waiting for it to flop, because time is a resource. Time is money. It's very true. And while, making almost, $2,000 on me sitting down and talking for an hour, that's incredible money. And if my life was like that all the time,
but you can always make more. That's what she's getting to.
I'd be living it up. But I mean, even making, I think when I was teaching, if you broke down my hourly rate, when I left the profession, it was something like $47 an hour. So not an incredible amount an hour for like a degreed professional, but hey, whatever. If I can make that or somewhere around that, I feel like I didn't let myself down by leaving that career. But with those Storytime vaults, I did the math on some of them and I was like, girl, you made about $7.50 an hour for this video. That's not okay. So yeah, in the future, I know there are people who still want to see that kind of content, and I do have an announcement about that, but on this channel, I'm going to keep it commentary. And I'm also going to try and make my commentary better. I think it's great when you can sit down and kind of spew your opinion about.
I think it's clear that she's definitely been speaking to, some kind of YouTube manager or YouTube guru to try to figure out what's best for her channel, and has been giving her pointers on to ditch or to divide her commentary and personal stories for more money. I don't think it's the best idea though, even though I'm not a YouTube guru myself. I've only been on YouTube for 5 minutes.
Something and then
still think it's a bad idea though.
Run away from the camera, right? But I think there's something to be said about commentary that really goes kind of more into detail about something, and that has better visuals, that has better audio, so on and so forth. I was thinking about it the other day and I was like, they've seen enough tears from me on the internet. Now it's time for talent. And I was never ever not capable.
Somebody's told her that, because that sounds like a line that a friend or a YouTube guru would say.
Of producing like well-researched and well-produced pieces of media. And I think in a lot of ways I have done that.
Yeah, you have. I agree.
But my goal is to just make this a place where that's done more consistently. And I do less of the talking about my personal life, which, let's just be honest, is kind of like a traumatic train wreck.
Not always. Not always. I don't think you would have put so many story times on if they were so traumatic. They're not always traumatic. OhStephco's are funny, they're humorous, they're relatable. It's not trauma dumping, and that's why her story times are so successful, in my opinion.
That no, only when I talk about dating. Dating is definitely the dark horse of my life. But yeah, joking. I want to do less of that on this channel. Keep it commentary and video essays, which are going to be more extensive and more, like I said, more well researched. I think commentary and video essays,
as long as they don't have like filler, like this video. This video was like 15 minutes of nothing, and then 15 minutes of actually getting to the topic. Sometimes less is more, and sometimes less may make you more money.
Essays are different, but regardless, whatever I release is going to be something that, number one, I know my audience actually might care about. Now, I can always be wrong, because YouTube is like door-to-door sales in a way. It's like what is it, it's sales with no commission. It's just, you never know. Every time you make a video, you're throwing something against the wall. Somebody can ask you to talk about something and you talk.
Agree, but you know what drives you to throw things against the wall is the passion that you have for the subject matter. So it doesn't matter what you throw against the wall, as long as you throw it with enough persistence and enough passion, your viewers will be able to see it.
Talk about it and don't nobody care. You just never know. But like I said, they have the research page. I know what the people who my listener or my subscribers watch, I know what they're talking about, and I'm aware of what's going on in certain pockets of the internet. So if I feel like I have something to add to the conversation and I want to talk about it, I'm going to, and hopefully people will watch and the viewership will rise and kind of go where it used to be before like December and then this month, before the last 2 months, basically. Okay, the next thing that I want to announce.
After this, I'm probably going to quickly like check out her views to see like how low they've gotten, because obviously they're concerning her. Otherwise, she wouldn't have made this video.
To you guys is I have made the decision to remove anything pretty privilege related from this channel.
Huge mistake, because those are some of her most popular videos. Her pretty privileged video is the only one that got to 1 million. Okay, but she's gonna take them down, even though, you know, I mean, this is throughout the video she's been talking about money and monetary gain and getting more money, but you're taking down your pretty privileged videos? That makes no sense.
I know.
Makes no sense considering what she's been saying.
I know a lot of people got something good out of that, which, if we can be honest, was just validation for the most part, that you're not crazy, that you're not just not being confident, that you're not just being negative. And it's okay to say, hey, I don't like it when I see this happening.
I've seen the video, by the way, and I completely agree with her on everything in that video.
It hurts my feelings. For that, I am grateful that people saw that video. They bonded with that video. They bonded with me in a parasocial way. And I'm excited for the response on that end. And I've already kind of talked about how I felt about the video hitting 1 million views. I talked about that a couple months ago. And, you had some people who understood and some people who were just like, no, you're being entitled, whatever. Some people that didn't understand, right? But for me, it comes down to, does that video represent the best of me? Does that video, does my attitude...
Judging by the views, I think it does. And I'm not in her head, but I think it does, judging on the views. And this, for the last 20 minutes... OhStephco has been talking about monetary gain and changing her content to make more money, more than $7.50 an hour, to stop like scraping by. And you're going to take down your pretty privilege video, the one that you got 1 mil over, 1 million views,
the things that
and you're just going to store that away?
I said, the people that I talked about, and specifically the people that I talked about in the thumbnail. I think back when I made that video, first of all, we talk about Miss Lori Harvey for a second. Back when I made that video, Lori was still kind of an enigma. She was a tagline in rappers, and songs. I got Lori Harvey on my wish list. She dated a couple rappers. She was sort of having a good time. And then she got into a serious relationship with Michael B. Jordan, and then left Michael B. Jordan. And I think in that process, and now she's with, I don't know how to say his name, Damson Idris. Ooh, I probably butchered that. But in the process, what we've seen is a young Black woman who is growing up and dating and coming into her womanhood in a way that, number one, has been marketed as the way to do it to women for years.
It sounds like OhStephco has definitely been coached, because there was nothing negative that she really said about Lori. All she said was that Lori benefits from pretty privilege. That was it.
How many times have people told you, if you're a young woman watching this, hey, don't settle. Hey, make them know that you know your worth. Hey, don't be afraid to walk away from something that ultimately is not what you want. Hey, have fun. You're young, you're beautiful, have fun, date around, find, who you're looking for. We are told that all the time, to the point where people like me who don't have that experience, who are not maybe, and I think what's interesting about Lori is, anybody can know their worth, but I think what a lot of us run into is our worth being yes-anded by the
You were clinically dead 9 months ago, but you fought your way back.
Communities around us.
I haven't even seen Extraction 1, but that clip that I saw looks quite good. I may have to go on Netflix and watch it.
I have been told before by men, unfortunately, oh, well, I'm not doing that for you. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing all that for you. No, they don't know me very well. You know, we're just getting to know each other, whatever, but I can already tell he's going to offer me less because they have their own set of values and ideas and beliefs. And if I come in with, well, hey, this is what I want and this is what I believe I'm worth, he can say, oh, well, I don't agree with that. And it's not just even with dating, it's also with friendships. You can come to a friendship and you can be like, well, hey, this is the kind of friend I am. This is, oh, I don't do all that. No, thank you. You can do it with your job. Hey, this is the kind of job, this kind of worker that I am. And oh, well, we don't see you like that. So, you know, it's constantly a compromise sometimes of you coming into a situation and you know your worth and you know who you are. Will the other person also co-opt that for you? Will they also respond and
But what has this got to do with Lori Harvey?
Reinforce that for you? And then when that happens, that's when you have successful dating situations. But a lot of times, I know for me, heterosexual woman, heterosexual Black woman, a lot of times it is very difficult to get that yes and from the men who I would be looking to date. I don't think I've ever fully gotten it. So what makes Lori so great is she is definitely a person who has been nominated by that community of men.
But there's definitely a lot of arse licking on OhStephco's part, and I don't understand why, because she didn't say anything offensive, which makes me think that she has been coached by a YouTube manager, which is confusing because she said nothing offensive in that video.
Men that she's interested in, that she knows, that they know, that she knows that she is that girl. You know what I'm saying? And so the game can begin. She goes in, hey, this is what I'm worth. They're like, yes, you are. And we get to see someone actually walking that road of dating who she wants, walking away from what doesn't serve her, having fun being.
But you never argued against that in your original video. So I don't know why this is being brought up.
Young and beautiful and having tons of options and exercising those options.
But you never knocked Lori Harvey for having options.
And I think when I made my Pretty Privilege video, I was just focused on the fact that she's just...
A lot of this is word vomit and it doesn't make any sense.
Another person that's out there in the world and she has pretty privilege and I don't want to hear...
That's not what you said.
...about... you know, women like her anymore and what...
That's not what you said. This is being amped up for no reason.
They're doing...
Maybe she's definitely being coached.
Because, I mean...
And not necessarily in the right direction either.
Her dating options and mine were always different. But that's okay.
Yeah, which you said in your original video. You never said that it wasn't okay. You just highlighted that Lori benefited from pretty privilege, which she does.
That's okay, and it's not something I'm necessarily... I guess I don't care anymore, and I'm not bitter about it anymore. I'm just like, it is what...
But you never came across as bitter in the original video.
It is.
That's why, one of the reasons why your Pretty Privilege video was so popular. And still is, because it still pops up on my recommendations.
And I think it's wonderful what she's doing, and I also don't think she needs any hate.
You never gave her hate in the original video. I think OhStephco is over exaggerating the tone and what she said in her original video to kind of make this a weird apology tour when there's no need for it. She was absolutely right in the Pretty Privilege video.
I think she gets enough of that, being a young woman of color, a young Black woman who presumably has more than one sexual partner. You know, we've already talked about the issue with how the media looks at Black women, and we...
What has that got to do with the original point? And how many partners she had? You never brought that up in your original video. So what has that got to do with this discussion now? Nothing.
You know, the Madonna and the horror complex that's constantly thrown at Black women, or I guess you could say the Mammy versus the Jezebel, because you're talking about women of color, but it's the same thing.
Which are tropes that OhStephco never brought up in the original video. So I don't know why she's bringing this up now.
how we're supposed to be these sexual beings, but we can't ever have sex. We can only have one boyfriend. We have to get, it's weird. The Black community always kind of toes a line between letting Black women really express themselves and trying to keep us in a cage and keep that self-expression down. But I want to make it clear and go on record that I support her. I think what she's doing is wonderful, and I don't.
Yeah, this is very yeah. She's OhStephco is licking ass here. She's licking a lot of ass, and I don't know why.
Care if all she's ever known for is dating really well, living her life, minding her business,
which you never knocked her for. So why is this being brought up? Unless you really want to, hit over that 30-minute mark.
Working out, drinking her water, running her companies. I don't care. I think it's important that she is doing.
You never did care in the original video. I just think that OhStephco needs to watch the original video back, because all this stuff, all these exaggerating things that she's saying about Laurie's partners and that you were hating on her, you never were. And I think you know that you never were, which is odd as to why you're bringing this up now. This is like a huge exaggeration of her actual video.
Doing that publicly, because I think that example has not yet been set by a Black woman in a public place. It has not been set yet. We have not. A lot of the actresses and things I grew up with, they never talked about their relationships. They never had relationships. They never talked about their dating lives. I think about the Sanaa Lathans and the Regina Halls and even the Taraji Hensons. We only heard about one of Taraji's boyfriends, like way back in the day. I have never seen a young Black woman taking this much joy in her dating process. And I think it's so important, especially for young women of color, to see. Just like it's important for people to know that, hey, for people like me to be like, hey, it's cool. Like, I understand all that advice and stuff you're giving, but if it doesn't apply to me, it doesn't apply. This is my life, my story.
Yeah, that was your original thought process going into that video.
Stories matter too. It's so important to have the opposite of that, so people can have something to.
But you never bashed conventionally pretty women for telling their stories.
Look up to.
So again, what is this conversation for?
Can know, like, oh, okay, well, this is also something that happens. I think it's important. I don't like the way I talked about her in that video.
Why not?
I also don't like the way I talked about Sierra, but I think at that.
Yeah, but she never talked badly about Sierra. Again, just that Sierra benefits from pretty privilege, and
At that time, I was overwhelmed by the fact that people kept talking about that prayer she must have prayed. And I know that me and several other people have prayed crying into the night for somebody to come, so on and so forth. And I think an interesting thing that I said in that video was I could pray all my days and I'd never meet a Russell. And I think that's so unfair. First of all,
but you were right.
That is limiting the things that can happen to me in my life. I also think I said something along the lines of Sierra met him because she was like,
she starred in her own music video.
Already famous, she's already in the spotlight.
But again, you were right, because she got more exposure because of that.
Like, well, yeah, okay, so her perfect match or her match was more likely to be in the spotlight. Well, that doesn't mean that my perfect match wouldn't meet me where I was.
But OhStephco, the thing is that you're not a pop star, so you're not going to have as much reach as Sierra did, and your point is still valid. So I don't understand this video.
And so I think I don't like that. And finally, I don't like that I brought other people I know into that video. I was like, they still think they can get married. I don't, but whatever. Why are they in it? What? Why are you talking about what are we talking about here? So again, I know a lot of.
But you thought that was still relevant enough to still leave in. So
people got great things out of it, but I just didn't feel like it was the best representation of myself. And because it's my most viewed video, it was my calling card. It was what brought the most view. Honestly, when that video is on my channel, I get maybe about 200 to 300 new subscribers every month. And you have to think to yourself, is this what you want people to see? And earlier I mentioned that I've been thinking about, maybe getting an agent, trying to do commercials, just trying to grow. And
she's clearly been advised by agents and YouTube managers and everything else. Clearly, this video is damage control for nothing. for backlash, for incidences, for things that she said that didn't happen because she's over exaggerated what she said in that video. This is an apology tour for absolutely no reason. How odd.
I could imagine, saying, oh, well, hey, I have a YouTube channel. Somebody goes, they click my popular videos, and the first thing they see is that. And while I do think that video came to a beautiful conclusion at the end, overall, it was not the best representation of myself. And I have made so many more videos. I've made so many more videos since then that I think represent me better and that I would rather serve as my calling card. And so I took that video down and I took anything that has to do with that topic off my channel. Now I will say I only unlisted them. So if you actually watch this video, then you will know that in the description box of this video is the link to the playlist for any pretty privileged content.
This is the thing. So it's not a good representation of you, but you've unlisted them so they're harder to find, but they're still available so you can make money. That makes no sense. If they're a misrepresentation, then take them down. But you can't take them down because they're too popular. And this is from the same woman that said in the first 15 minutes that she really wanted to prioritize money, because she wanted her content to have higher views and money. But you unlist your pretty privileged videos that make you the most money. You unlist them, make them harder to find, but you still need to keep them up and keep them on your page for profit. Can someone please make that make sense to me?
So it still exists. If you're the type of person that likes to go back and watch it, so on and so forth, it's all.
But it'd be harder to find because it's unlisted.
All there.
Way to go.
It's just not available when you first get to.
That's so ridiculous. One of your most popular videos, the one that you call your calling card, and you've got it unlisted.
My channel, and YouTube can no longer promote the video. So.
Oh my God! But you want to make more money on YouTube. You go, OhStephco.
It's not on the algorithm anymore. So I mentioned.
That's just so weird to me that she would do that.
Those two things, commentary only. I've removed Pretty Privilege and some other videos. Pretty Privilege was.
Well, you've unlisted. You haven't removed.
Not the only video that I took down. I just can't remember it right now. But I took down a couple of them going into the new year. Here's what I want to say though. I think I have always been more of a personality YouTuber than a commentary personality, meaning I'm not a scholar. I am a teacher by trade, but I'm not a scholar. So I think that sometimes takes away.
But you're extremely intelligent, and if people were to see your videos, they would think that you are a scholar. You do sound extremely educated, thoughtful, tactful, extremely intelligent. So
from my opinions, I do infuse a lot of emotion into them, a lot of personal experience. That's how I relate to whatever I'm talking about. And so that
people wouldn't be surprised if OhStephco was, a Bill Gates, level of smart.
Said, I think there is a market for me to be really successful leaning into that part of my personality. It's not on this platform, given what most of this platform wants to see from me or wants to see in general, but it is out there. So I'm going to be starting another channel, not this month, hopefully by next month. I'm trying to get my content together now, where I will focus on lifestyle, vlogs, and personal stories. I had to realize that
I think dividing it is a mistake.
Just not the place for that.
It's like you're taking your calling cards and you're just putting them behind your back. So they're available, but nobody can really see them.
I need to draw the line in the sand and decide what this channel is going to be. If you look at my banner that I have up, it says vlogs, commentary, rants. It's just a lot going on. Let's go ahead and in this year demarcate the two. Hey, you can come to this part for commentary, whatever, but over here I'm myself. And since this year I'm going to be going on a fertility journey that hopefully ultimately ends in a baby, I was like, I want some place to be able to talk about that without feeling like I have to talk about this pop culture thing or this or that. I want to be able to document it. And I'll be documenting it over on Patreon. But I think anytime a woman goes on that kind of a journey, it's important for the public at large to see, especially a woman of color, being honest about dealing with anything that happens to do with fertility, because it's so taboo in our community, specifically within the Black community. So I was like, I want a place where I can say that, where it's not going to be out of place. Where if I post a travel blog or something, it's not out of place. It is something that audience is specifically looking for. And I know what my audience is looking for. Just look at my research page and I can see, okay, the majority of this audience is looking for commentary, video essays. That's what this audience wants. But I have another part of my personality. So I want a place where I can clearly put that out and not feel like I'm beholden to also talk about other things. So I'm definitely separating those two things moving forward. Okay, so I did just want to make this quick video so that there is not a lot of confusion about, if somebody's like, oh, I used to do story times today, I'll do them again on a different channel, just not here. I want to say thank you again for anybody who watches everything. You don't care. You watch it if I put it out. I really appreciate you. And I am hoping for this to be a good year in my life personally, in my content creation life, and my other parts of my life, and also a good year for you too. Yeah. So without further ado, let's get started with some new videos. Obviously not in this video. This video is done, but videos after this will be just regular new videos. And as always, thank you for watching.
Let's shrink that down.
When I'm standing there behind the curtain, waiting to walk out to the ring.
Right. I just want to see her description box to see if it's got the pretty privilege is in her description box but unlisted. Oh my god, ridiculous. Yeah, please don't change the comments. I'm subscribed to enough already. I like that one. December is not an accurate gauge of a channel. I agree. People only subscribe because of the personal videos. I'm bummed you won't be doing personal story times. Pretty privilege video was important. There's a massive disconnect between how we see you and how you see yourself. Yeah, we get the commentary from somebody else. Don't alter your content. Yeah, I disagree with this decision, but it's her channel. And I know, guys, that you think, that if you're listening to this, that I've just been shitting on OhStephco for the past 30 minutes. But I do actually enjoy her content. I think to myself
how hard I have trained and how much I have sacrificed.
Let's put her face up.
Order to access.
There we go. But I do actually really enjoy her content. I will continue to watch her content. I'll continue to watch both of her channels. I just do think that she's making a bad decision when she's deciding to split this content up and take her story times off of her channel. I think that's a bad decision, but let's take a look. But that was 6 months ago. OhStephco. But this is her channel and she can do what she wants. And I know that this sounds like me just shitting on her for the past 30 minutes, but I do enjoy her content. And also, you can like somebody and criticize them. Steph's as cute as a button. You can be attracted to somebody and still criticize what they do. It's just, I do think that she should stick to what works. Okay, so let's take a look. Commentary. Yep, so a lot of it is commentary. Let's see what she did in the last month. Okay. Alright, so 10 months ago, 77k. 1 month ago, 10k. A month ago, 87k, the fertility store, the fertility journey, and that's like a story time about her life. Social media and the redemption of Denia Jackson, 57k 2 weeks ago. Little Mermaid, remembering Jackie O, and that expensive course 11 days ago, 29k, and most recently 3 days ago, 23k. So she's doing okay. I'll still continue to watch her content. I still think that she's making a bad decision. Whoever is advising her is also giving her bad advice, but what do I know? I've only been on YouTube for 5 minutes. Okay, so that's the end of the vid, guys. This is OhStephco, commentary / storytelling. And if you want to subscribe, feel free to subscribe if you liked what you saw. Thanks for watching, guys.